Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's now 6:01. Let's get started. We're going to start with some housekeeping items, specifically instructions for the translation. So I'll hand it over to Colin.
Hello, everybody. For those of you joining via Zoom app or your desktop browser, please hit the mute button. This will reduce the background noise and make it easier for you to hear the speaker. You can also use the pin button to view the speaker or presentation as a full screen view. For those of you who are calling in and joining via phone, please hit *6 on your phone to mute and unmute, or press the mute button on your smartphone if you've joined via the Zoom application. If you have questions or comments, please use the chat function. Commissioner Garcia and the project team will respond to them at the end of this presentation. For those of you joining via phone, we will circle back with you after this presentation to make sure we can capture your questions and comments. These slides and the recording of this presentation will be available on the project website in the next few days in both English and Spanish. Adriana, please unmute.
Para aquellos de ustedes que se unen por teléfono, nos comunicaremos con ustedes después de esta presentación para asegurarnos de que podemos capturar sus preguntas y comentarios. Hasta diapositivas y una grabación de esta presentación estarán disponibles en el sitio web del proyecto en los próximos días, tanto en como en español. Diapositiva 2. Zoom Logística Español.
Adriana, please explain the Spanish logistics for joining in Spanish.
If you're comfortable with English, the following instructions are for Spanish-speaking neighbors. There will be a live interpretation of the meeting in Spanish. Habrá una interpretación en vivo de este encuentro en español. Para escuchar en español, haga clic en el botón Interpretación en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla. Al hacer clic en el botón, verá la opción de seleccionar inglés o español. Seleccione la opción en español. Una vez que haya seleccionado esto, el icono del mundo debe reemplazarse por la palabra español, debajo de un círculo con ES adentro. Ahora debería poder ver el presentador principal acompañado del audio de la traducción en vivo por parte del intérprete durante el resto de la reunión. Haga clic abajo en el lado derecho de su pantalla y seleccione de idioma interpretación y seleccione la opción español. Las diapositivas en español estarán disponibles en línea en McNair linusplan.com/kickoff.
Great. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Adriana. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the McNair Linus Plan Kickoff meeting. I'm sorry, did I hear some echo? That's okay. My name is Jorge Bustamante, and I am the planning manager with Harris County Precinct 2, Commissioner Garcia's office. We're really glad you're joining us tonight. I want to take a second and start by talking about why we're here. We are going to elaborate on this a little bit later in the presentation, but the goal of this project is to develop a community plan. A community plan that is community-led. A community plan that sets a vision for infrastructure, socioeconomic development, and quality of life. And a community plan that will not just sit on the shelf, but be reflected in the future of this community. We really need your local knowledge and your opinion to help us develop and implement the community's vision. Next slide, please. So moving on to the agenda for today, we will do some introductions of the project team, go over the study area, project goals and scope, and tell you all the ways you can get involved, because again, we really want this plan to be community-led. And last but not least, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. So with that, I will introduce my boss, the man behind the vision, Commissioner Garcia. to welcome you and kick off this exciting project. Commissioner?
Thank you, Jorge, and good to see everyone. I'm so proud and grateful that so many of you have decided to tune in tonight to have this important conversation. Now, as Jorge mentioned, I may be the person behind the vision of this process, but the person behind the vision for McNair, Linus, is you. This is you and your community. And so I want to make sure that we provided a process to get your perspective to ensure that the plan we come up with is what you have in mind for your neighborhood, for your neighbors, for your home, for your business. And so this is an opportunity for you to weigh in. And so before I get into that any further, let me just quickly take a second to pause about the current circumstances that we know we're all under, and that is COVID-19. As you may have already heard, the judge has issued a mandate, a mask mandate. We are supporting school districts in their efforts to protect the babies, the students, as well as their staff. And so this is a real thing, folks. I will tell you that the rate of the hospitalization rate has increased dramatically. I've spoken with our CEO, Dr. Porsa of the Harris County Hospital District, otherwise known as Harris Health, and they're at capacity. He is actually asking us that to communicate that if you're not, severely ill, please don't come to the hospital. If you're just anxious or there's you got a tummy ache or something, please don't consider coming to the hospital because they are at capacity. It's crazy. I feel even uncomfortable saying, for what reasons you shouldn't come. But the reality of it is the hospitals are full. And so, but one other thing that he has mentioned is that there are people that are still dying as a result of COVID-19. But of the people who are in the hospital and sick, but not having died, are those that have been vaccinated. And I've heard some conversations that people are saying, oh, the vaccine doesn't work, you can still get it. Absolutely, you can still get it. But the goal was always to keep people alive. And so the vaccine is showing that it is working because according to Dr. Porsa, of the people who have died, none of them have been vaccinated. So if you have already gotten the vaccine, thank you. I really, really appreciate, respect your decision to do so. If you have not yet done so, please consider, calling our office at 713-274-2222 and making sure that you get the information you need as to where we are providing vaccines, and Precinct 2 is aggressively providing vaccines throughout the precinct. But also, if you have questions or concerns about the vaccine, I totally get it. I respect that. But please consider reaching out to your doctor, an area medical professional, someone that can help guide you through your questions, your concerns, your doubts about the vaccine. And I hope that they can answer your questions effectively so that you will have the confidence in the vaccine to get it. It's all about saving lives, folks. So until then, if you have any other questions regarding Precinct 2, please give us a call at 713-274-2222. That is our call center number, and we will make sure to provide any information and response that you may need for your community. So now back to why we're here. And as I started with, it's about your vision. It's about McNair. It's about Linus. It's about your community and the things that you've always wanted to see done, but didn't know where to go. Well, here's an opportunity for you to put that pin in that map and tell us, you know what? I've always been saying, if somebody would just do this, this would be phenomenal for our neighbors, for the community, for the children, for the schools. This is what today is all about. And I want to take time to recognize some folks that I think are on the call today. First, let me recognize, I believe that the First Lady of Councilmember Johnson's district, Mrs. Johnson, may be on the call tonight. I want to thank her in advance. And then we have folks like Terry Alford, Pastor Sherman Gray III, Elena Alzine, and representatives from Constable Eagleton's office, as well as a representative from Sheriff Gonzalez's office, the Harris County Sheriff's Office. And so we're very, very excited, and several of my team members are on the call as well. And we'll work to make sure to get listen to what you're saying, make sure we're paying attention to that, and then also making sure that we're being responsive to that and that your input is truly being reflective in this plan. And so to that end, let me also say that there's a lot of work that's been done to create these plans for neighborhoods in Precinct 2. You know, when I was out asking for your permission to serve you as your county commissioner, one thing I continuously heard, no matter where I went, was, well, why do they get something over there and we don't? Well, they only did this for us, but they did that for them. And so I want to make sure that there is not a precinct of haves and have-nots. This plan is an opportunity for you, the residents of McNair, Linus, to weigh in and to provide us that direct input and to ensure that we are honoring and respecting what you want to see your community become, and the things that you want to protect and the things that you want to add to your community that would enhance the quality of life. And for that reason, it's obviously about planning for the future, but we also want to make sure that we're respecting the past. And for example, during the recent Juneteenth parade, which I was very happy and honored to participate in, I got to recognize Miss Lena Carrier on her 100th birthday. It was a beautiful occasion. She was so gorgeous. And I'll just tell you that listening to her and some of the stories that she shared with me and the information I had on the proclamation, it was just incredible to be in the presence of someone who represented so much history in our community. And so, and then there's also the fact that Baytown's Mayor Capatillo, his great grandfather had a pig farm and a ranch in Linus many years ago. That's beautiful, man. We you know, there's more beyond those two examples. And so I want to make sure that we are respecting and honoring that history. And so that all can happen when we all work together. And so that's why I've assembled my team, and that's why we're here to listen to you and to respect your vision, your concerns, and you know, continue to respond to you in real time. And that's why, again, the number to my call center is 713-274-2222. If there's something that you see today or tomorrow, let us know, and my team will begin working on it immediately. And then to that end, let me just, before I turn it back over to Jorge, to say, look, my commitment is this to you. This is not a plan that will stay on the shelf. You know, this is a plan that I want to make sure is a living and active document. I want to make sure that it is a plan that you see taking life out there. And when you see, if you say here, I want this road repaired or this hike and bike trail done, and we start working on it, all I ask is for a little patience, because every time we begin some of those projects, then the very next question is, oh my God, when are you going to finish? So we want to work on it all. We want to do it all. We just need your cooperation, your collaboration, your partnership, but also your patience. So with that, thank you again. It's a pleasure to be with with all of you here. I see the number growing since we started the call. And so back to you, Jorge. Thank you for leading this conversation. And I'm going to be quietly listening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Commissioner. I really appreciated that reference to the history because that's going to be very key for these communities. With that, I will do a brief introduction to the project team. We have a lot of people that are going to be working hand in hand with the community to make this project happen. I will actually start with the Harris County Precinct 2 staff. You guys have met me, Jorge Bustamante. I'm the planning manager with Harris County Precinct 2. We also have Gretchen Knowles. She is a rock star in the community. Probably most of you know her at this point. We're also working with the Harris County Engineering Department with Alberto Ponce and Brian Brown. The Harris County Public Health with Parul and Ismet, who will be presenting a couple of slides here in just a second. And we're working with a really great consultant team. The prime consultant for this project is the Goodman Corporation. Monisha and Jim will be the project managers and project principal. And then we have Colin, Isabella, and Zach for public involvement, Amanda and Mary for urban design, and Patrick for housing and economic development. Next slide. So before I hand it over to Monisha, I wanted to add some context about all the planning efforts that are happening in the area. This is a very special time because we're not just doing McNair Linus, we are doing actually 3 community plans in the Baytown, in the greater Baytown area. So just last night, we kicked off Highlands Lynchburg, and it will be followed here shortly by the unincorporated Baytown area. To add to this, the city of Baytown is, as you probably know, is already working on their comprehensive plan. And so we wanted to show this map to let you know that we're coordinating with the city, we're coordinating with all the other plans, and we wanted to take this opportunity that all these plans are happening so that we make sure that everyone is heard and these plans are coordinated and complement each other. So if you see, advertisements about the other plans, rest assured that everything's going to be coordinated, and we'll try very hard to make sure this is as seamless as possible for everyone in the community. With that, I'll actually hand it over to Monisha, who will lead us into a little bit of the study area and the scope of this project. Monisha?
Great. Thank you, Jorge. And hello, everyone. Welcome. And thank you so much for being here. We're really looking forward to working with you all. My name is Monisha Khurana. I am the project manager from the consultant team. I'm with the Goodman Corporation. So this slide here shows the study area for this planning effort. It is both McNair, which is north of I-10, and Linus, which is south of I-10. Your communities are geographically next to each other, but demographically are different. McNair is predominantly Black and Linus is predominantly Hispanic. We recognize each community's unique history and culture, and the goal of this plan is to make recommendations that would benefit both communities and all residents who live in the area. And with this, I'll turn it over to Jim Webb with the Goodman Corporation for the next few slides.
Thank you, Monisha. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm happy to provide this presentation. So Jorge and Commissioner talked a little bit about the McNair and Linus community plan, but what does that really mean? A plan is a document that addresses where you are, where you want to be, and how we can get there along the way. The plan is going to involve your input and your feedback, which is critical to develop a shared vision and goals for what you would like your community to look like in the future. Through this process, we really hope that you'll tell us what you like about your community, what things your community needs, again, kind of putting that pin in the map, either virtually, maybe at some point towards the end of this planning effort in person, what changes you'd like to see in the future as well. We want to understand how you view your community today and looking forward. The precinct will use these recommendations from this process to plan, design, and implement, most importantly, improvements in your community. So the goal of the project is to create a community plan for both the communities of McNair and Linus. To get there, we're going to identify the needs, develop a vision and goals for the future, and then make recommendations regarding infrastructure projects and community initiatives. From there, we'll then create an implementation strategy to help realize these recommendations and how they can actually be built or otherwise put into place. The final plan will be published with maps, visuals, infographics to convey information. It'll be posted online in an easy-to-view format. And again, as the commissioner said, the intention is not for this plan just to sit on a shelf and look pretty or sit on a website. The purpose is really to create tangible and implementable recommendations, both in the short term and also in the long term, which can be pursued. A key aspect of this plan is stakeholder engagement and your input. It's why we're here tonight. The plan is going to cover a variety of topics, including the following: transportation and mobility. So this includes things like roadways, sidewalks, bicycle facilities, public transportation. When we're thinking about this, we're thinking about all facets of mobility: congestion, safety, connectivity, and access. Economic development. So this is what businesses and jobs are in your community today and what you think ought to be in your community tomorrow, and also how you want to benefit from those jobs and from those businesses. We'll also be looking at housing, land use, quality of life, public safety and services such as safety, crime, environmental issues, parks and green spaces, and other amenities that you think your community either has today or needs. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Manisha.
Great. Thank you, Jim. So the question is, how are we going to get there? So first, we're going to look at various data sources and listen to you to determine what are the existing conditions. Based on that, we'll be able to identify the community needs and formulate a vision, a mission, and goals for the plan. Based upon that, we'll create draft recommendations and then determine, based on your input, which ones are short-term and which ones are long-term, and figure out funding sources and ways to actually get these projects going and on the ground. And in the next few slides, I'll just go into a little bit more detail about each step. So firstly, for existing conditions, we're going to review some data. We'll look at demographics, we'll look at land use, we'll look at TxDOT information when it comes to traffic volumes, safety data. We've gone out to these communities, we've gone out to see what's on the ground, and we're going to do more detailed field work, particularly our engineering team. We know that there was a planning effort done back in 2003 by the county, and we're going to review that. We're going to understand the status of some of those recommendations, understand what might have been done since then, and how have things changed in the community. And really, most importantly, we're going to talk to you and figure out what you need, and that'll help us develop some goals for this plan. So based on the information we gather from you guys and from our field work and the data, we're going to help and identify and categorize projects and initiatives. A project is something like an infrastructure improvement. So this would be something that Harris County Precinct 2 would be able to design, build, and maintain. An example would be a transportation improvement, such as a trail or a sidewalk, a new public facility, some sort of signage or drainage improvements. An initiative is something that would require multiple partners, including possibly the private sector, and would be something like the creation of a new organization or new entity to provide services. Both projects and initiatives will be grouped into both short-term, which is, let's say, 5 years or less, or long-term, which is greater than 5 years. So we will develop them through defining their scope. We'll do some preliminary cost estimates, some renderings, layouts, and we'll identify what are some challenges and what are some benefits of these. And based on your priorities and needs, we'll be able to evaluate and prioritize these projects. Finally, we'll put this all together in a final report. As we've been mentioning, the intent is not for this plan to just sit on a shelf. We're going to devise an implementation strategy for each recommendation, and that will help identify project partners from both the public and private sector, some funding sources, and potential grant opportunities. In addition, Harris County Public Health will be doing a health impact assessment as part of their study, and that will all be captured in this final report. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Isma Bouyan to talk more about what the public health aspect of this plan will be.
Thank you, Manisha. Good evening, everyone. My name is Isma Bouyan, and with me, I have Paro Pillai. We are both part of Harris County Public Health's Built Environment Unit. In the next few slides, I'll share a little bit about the work that we do and our role in the community plan. So the Built Environment Unit was created in 2015 with the mission to promote health and wellness through healthy community design, where individuals live, learn, work, worship, and play throughout Harris County. The built environment includes natural and man-made places and spaces that form a community. An important aspect of community design is health equity, which means that all individuals have a fair and just opportunity to be healthy. An example of healthy community design includes having a walkable neighborhood connected to schools. This results in increased physical activity levels among children, which will ultimately lead to better school performance. Another example of healthy and equitable community design is having access to various modes of transportation. Aside from reducing emissions, this connects individuals who don't have access to cars, to parks, schools, work sites, and other parts of the community. Improvements in the built environment have both direct and indirect health benefits. Here you can see the relationship between improvements and health outcomes. So for example, people who are closer to parks and green space often walk, run, and exercise more, which leads to improved physical and mental health. People who have access to healthy and nutritious foods have a lower risk of chronic diseases, such as obesity and diabetes. Access to parks, green space, and healthy foods increase life expectancy, which is important to ensure equity in the community. So the Built Environment Unit will create, So the Built Environment Unit will create a health impact assessment for this community plan, as Monisha said. The health impact assessment combines community feedback, research, and data to provide recommendations that increase positive health outcomes and address any negative ones, which will ultimately lead to a healthier and more robust community. With that, we look forward to working on the plan, and I will turn it over to Zach.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. As we've been saying, your input is vital to this planning process. We cannot do this without you. Throughout the next few months, we will be reaching out to members of the community to get involved. We will have surveys and hopefully in-person pop-up events to gather your opinions. If you'd like to be involved in this planning process and are willing to dedicate just a few hours, we will have a stakeholder task force. This task force will meet 3 times during the process. If I could have the next slide, please. Thank you. We are kicking off the plan with today's meeting. We will have another meeting with Commissioner Garcia and then a closeout meeting at the end of the planning process. For those of you who want to sit on a task force, we will be facilitating listening sessions where you can tell us all about your community. Based on what you tell us, we will come up with a list of needs and develop goals. Then we're going to review those along with some of our preliminary recommendations with you. Once we get your feedback from that, we're going to come back to you with a refined list that we're going to workshop together to come up with a list of priorities. If I can have the next slide, please. Thank you. We have a project website that we invite you to visit. Over the next few months, we'll be updating the website with additional information. A recording of this meeting and these slides is going to be posted, as will all the materials from any subsequent task force or public meetings. So we want you to have all the information and be fully engaged in this process. Right now, please go to the website. You're all on your computers, you're all in front of a screen. Click over to that website, submit your name and your email address for project updates, to share your comments, or to indicate to us if you want to participate on a task force. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to Jorge Bustamante or Gretchen Knowles, both with Precinct 2 at the numbers provided. Finally, encourage your friends and neighbors to get involved. The more data, the more information we can gather from you all and from your neighbors, the better this plan is going to be. So come to an upcoming meeting. You could ask them to just submit their feedback through the website.
Oh, I think Zach, you froze.
Jorge, why don't you go ahead and take it?
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see if Zach is able to come back, but we'll after SAC, I was going to mention about I wanted to take a second to show everyone our project dashboard. This plan is going to be really key to get everyone's input and look into the future at the projects that we want to do. But I did want to highlight that we already have a number of projects and we're working very hard all across the precinct. And so we created this little tool to share with everyone what we're working on. So if you go to harriscountyprecinct2.com, hcp2.com, you'll be able to look at our project dashboard. Jim has it here on the map on the screen. And it has a summary of all the projects we're working on. But if you click on the map, I think this is the really cool tool where it's this interactive map that shows all the projects that the county is working on. And so if you move around and click on a certain area, it'll give you the project that we're working on in that area. This is constantly updated. We're striving to keep it as up to date as possible, but as you know, things move from design to construction to completion. And so if you have any questions, there should be some contact information for a specific project. But if not, anytime, feel free to reach out to Gretchen or myself, and we'll plug you in if you have a question of our existing project, a general question, or something about this community plan. So with that, again, I really also want to encourage everyone to sign up for the task force. Please, like Zach was saying, go to McNair-LinosPlan.com and leave us a comment saying you want to be part of this task force. If you dedicate a couple of hours, it's gonna allow us to really dial in what the community's priorities are, more than if you just attend a public meeting. So if you're that dedicated to the community, please send us a message and we'll plug you right in and get you the latest and greatest information. All right, so with that, we're coming up to the end of this presentation. I see Commissioner is here. Commissioner, would you like to take the Q&A?
Thank you, Jorge. And I just want to emphasize a couple of things. Number one, the stakeholder task force is critical. Please participate. Here's the way it works. What's the old saying? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu, something like that. Well, I don't want you to be on the menu. I want you to be at the table. And the only way for you and your vision, your desire for your community to be at the table is for you to participate in the task force. And trust me, these folks are phenomenal at making the process exciting, informative, rewarding, and painless. So I'll tell you this, it's less painful than being on the menu. So please participate. That's the magic in this plan. That's it. You are the secret sauce. If you're not participating, you're not on the task force, then this plan doesn't become what it can be. But when you participate, give us a little bit of your time. We'll be mindful of it. But if you give us a little bit of your time, it will be very, very rewarding, and it'll help us make a phenomenal plan for you and your neighbors. So with that, let me just say, there's a lot of folks that are on the Zoom call tonight, and I just want to call out to a couple of folks. Let me just begin with Pastor Sherman Gray III. Pastor, thank you so much. If anybody's got a busy schedule, you do. And I want to first simply say thank you for your prayers and your faithful guidance of the community, for the things that you do for all of us. And, imagine a community without a church. Imagine a community without a dedicated pastor, and it's not a community. But I just wanted to reach out and just ask Pastor, your thoughts. You recently participated and formed the McNair Community Alliance, and obviously you are doing a lot to improve the community by your trash cleanups and other things. So, your thoughts on this community plan and the process.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm very pleased to be here tonight, and I just want to say that I am one of 7 on the McNair Community Alliance. It's a great team, and one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we don't act on our own behalf. We try to always act on behalf of the community as far as the community needs and what they're asking for. And I think that, and I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. I heard a lot of wonderful ideas, and I agree with you with what you said at the onset, that this will take time. But for me, knowing that it will take time, the project scope, in my view, was a bit vague. It was great to hear the ideas, but the scope was a bit vague in the sense that it didn't provide a comprehensive timeline that would encourage patience. And I don't think that we're asking per se for a completion date, but what I'd like to know is, was there research done prior to this meeting that can kind of serve as a guideline for implementation?
Yeah. Well, Pastor, thank you so much for that. And if I can take a quick shot, and if Jim or somebody else wants to correct me or add to it, please feel free to do so. But I'll tell you, Pastor, thank you for pointing that out. And my bad, because I typically talk about the way the plan works. Your priorities and my budget sets the timelines. So if you say, I want a 50-story skyscraper, that's going to take a little bit of time because it's going to take a whole lot of money. But there's no doubt, based on the process that we've seen with other community plans, that you're going to identify what is otherwise going to be referred to as low-hanging fruit. There's going to be some things that we will be able to get to nearly immediately. And then there'll be some things that we know we can get to in the very foreseeable future. We'll call those midterm goals. And then there'll be those things that obviously are going to require a lot more time, a lot more work, a lot more resources. Those will be our long-term goals. And generally speaking, the short-term goals are somewhere, within 4 years. Midterm goals are going to be, maybe 5 to 10, and then the long-term goals will be beyond that. But I'll just tell you that no one is more impatient for progress than me, respectfully, because all the things I heard about being underserved, about being forgotten, about being neglected, about never being engaged, I have heard that, and I have held on to that, and that's what motivates me in this process. That's precisely why we're doing this process, because I don't want that to be the case any longer. So I hope that helps to answer your question, Pastor, because I know you want to get some things done, and I want to do so as well. So depending on what those goals are, and the team will come back and scrub the process with the task force and help us refine the timeline and then those issues. Now, obviously, if there's something that has an immediate priority, and I know that there's been some discussion about the volunteer, fire department. We've been having some conversations. Some of those things aren't going to be, we're not waiting for the plan. We're working on that right now, and we've already had some conversations. But hike and bike trails, as an example, that's a fairly, short-term, immediate thing. Some other community enhancements, those are probably things that we can get to fairly easily, fairly quickly. So does that help, Pastor?
Yeah, Commissioner, I have a quick question. I know you said the short-term plan is about 4 years, but there's an issue that has come up in the community several times that it can't wait 4 years. It was on the plan. I did see it. Safety.
Oh, yeah.
We need law enforcement presence in our community, and we need the type of law enforcement presence that's going to help build and repair relationships. And I know that the McNair Community Alliance and I have met with constable's office. We're still trying to get a meeting with the sheriff's office because we are trying to desperately find out what can we do to have a law enforcement presence in our community. We live on one of the busiest corridors in the nation. And when there's traffic on I-10, Harrison Street to Jones Road is a shortcut, and it just happens to take place at the time that our kids get out of school. Some of it is community people, but most of it is outsiders, and we can't wait 4 years to.
No. This is good, Pastor. Yeah. So Pastor, I if you will add to your title, Chairman of the Task Force, we'll get going. No, I'm just kidding. But listen, this is all very helpful. My team and I are listening to you. And again, all we need is some input. And obviously there's some things that aren't going to take 4 years. And I say, and I'm not saying please, that we're going to start in 4 years. We're going to start today. This is a conversation. I know that we have Director of Fortune with the Sheriff's Office. She's hearing what you're saying regarding the meeting with the sheriff in the Sheriff's Office. I think she will jump on that fairly quickly. So we'll move some of these things immediately. But just to give you the idea of the capital projects, those things that have to be built or improved in some regard that are not existent. We've got resources in law enforcement. We're doing some things. We're buying some technology. We're going to put some of those things to work immediately. So I hear you.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. And then I want to call on another community leader, and that is Teresa Lanphier. I think I saw your name somewhere, Teresa. Oh, there you are. Hey there. How are you? You are a long time Linus resident. And I know that this is an area that's important to you. You're always speaking up on behalf of the community, and I appreciate that a lot, like what the pastor just did. And so you are interested in, and you're not. You've been on the water district before, and so we want to make sure that we are engaging your leadership. And so your thoughts on how we can better improve the drainage system in the Linus area.
Correct. We desperately need that. And I know mine's going to be a long task. So we're going to be patient with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But you know what? I put pressure on myself. And one of the meetings I just had before I got onto this, just so everyone knows, is the conversation about the American Recovery Act, the ARPA dollars, about how we're going to put that to work. This plan and your input will help us. And then the infrastructure bill that we're waiting to get signed, that's going to help us a great deal on things like what you've done so much of, Teresa. So your thoughts on the plan? You're participating. I hope we can count on you as a task force member.
Yes, sir. You can. You can count on me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And so with that, I'm just simply going to say that, to the issues that the pastor touched on, and look, drainage never stops. Today, I was proud to celebrate the completion of a flood project up in the Aldine area, and we need to do more, Teresa. And so please sign up for ways to stay connected with the Precinct 2 office by going to our website, hcp2.com. and sign up for our newsletter, sign up for Twitter, for Instagram. And that way you can receive instantaneous information about the things that are happening in the precinct. But as well, don't forget to call us, 713-274-2222. So I know we got some, hey, Karen, I just saw your picture. I know we got some questions, so let me see what else we can do here. Let's see.
Hey, Commissioner, maybe
Yes.
we can take a second and just remind everyone that they can drop questions in the chat or raise their hand if they want to speak. Especially those who dialed in, they can use star 67 to unmute.
And if you want to raise your hand, you can either do it like this or you can do it on the screen. But I'm seeing here where I want to thank Lanika for her interest in joining the task force. Thank you. Let's see. Amber, will this community plan help constituents enact a plan strategy to limit what gets built in our community? The restrictions or the way to limit some of those things, I will tell you that some of that can be done by regulations, but most of that has to be done through legislation. So depending on what that is, Amber, we'll make sure to put it into our legislative plan for the next state session, because I can only get my authority to limit things from the state where regulations may not already exist. So if the rules already exist, yes, we can restrict some things. If the rules don't exist, I have to go to the state senator and our state representatives to get that authority. Okay. So, but good question. Good question. And then let's see. So, oh, Howard. Oh, I'm sorry. I said Lanika, but I didn't read the whole question. It was Howard. Yeah. Howard Sampson says, I want to be on the task force. Good. And
the other question I have is on our community, a lot of things have been brought up about law enforcement, also some maintenance issues that we have, also some issues that we have as far as inspections on building requirements. I know we live in an unincorporated area and you have to go through the state legislature about all of that, but we have a problem with major law enforcement for us. It's like a spin around. You go down East Street, you go around along the feeder road, and then you're going out of town, but you never go through the community. So you don't have that relationship that you need to have with the community. And like I said, the other thing is that we are trying to make sure that the community is trying to live up to a better reputation than people give us, because we're not, I grew up in this community and we have a lot of good things, but slowly but surely we're getting a lot of bad things. It's like dropping off people in the community, and we need to be able to look at that situation. But majorly, we just need to be able to have some type of enforcement for law enforcement coming through to make sure people are not just hanging around.
Gotcha.
Drifters.
Gotcha. Good input, Howard. And it sounds like your point is related a little bit to what the pastor mentioned, that people are getting off the freeway, zipping around, and then they're not really members of the community, and then they may hang around and do some things that we don't need them to do. So I got you.
Yeah, we just got a dollar store put in the area, and I don't want them to move out because we have drifters and stuff, and they wind up getting robbed and everything.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
It's a convenience for the community, and we need to have it here so other businesses want to come into the community.
Gotcha. Well, we got folks from both offices listening, and so they're hearing this, and we'll make sure that as you give us some specifics, like the pastor did, we'll make sure to incorporate that so that they can put their teams on it. And I'll just tell you that I also have someone on my office that's assigned from the sheriff's office. And a lot of the information I get, I make sure to get it to him. He works with our respective partners to provide some response to the issues in the community.
Because Wade Road has become a major thoroughfare, but you have people in the evening is speeding. I mean, I think the speed limit is like 40, but it's like 60, 65 going down the road. So I'm just waiting for a major accident to happen at the community center.
I got you. I got you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Howard. I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
You're quite welcome. Let's see. Alita Espinosa, she says, Linus definitely needs some improvement. We're working on it. So I appreciate you participating, Alita. Let's see. Sandra Bella, you want to join? Well, I want you to join. I'm going to try to be like Uncle Sam. I want you. So participate. Thank you. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Okay. Anybody else got their hand up? I can't see the whole screen. Jorge. Oh, Steve. Steve, go ahead, Steve. Unmute yourself.
Hello, Commissioner.
That works better than the thing on the screen.
Yeah. I was looking for it, but I couldn't really find it. I saw it, but I didn't know if I was gonna get it in or not. And I wanted to say something before we adjourn. I just want to thank Gretchen first of all for inviting me to be on this session, and I also want to be on the task force as well.
Good, thank you.
So I went to the website and put my name and stuff in, but I did have a question.
Okay.
We talked about safety a little bit, and Pastor Gray brought that up, and that's something that we just can't wait for. But also along with that, we got a defunct fire department, and I think you mentioned that a little bit. I could easily see having a unit there with some EMT. We have a lot of senior citizens in McNair that's been there all their lives.
That's right.
And so we need some quick response in that area. I know Baytown comes, and I know Highland comes as well, but I think we, by McNair being either way it goes, you're gonna have to do a little traveling to get to them, whether it be Baytown or whether it be Highlands. I think that's an area that we can greatly enhance McNair by getting that fire department, that volunteer fire department up and rolling, where it would be a benefit, an asset to the community.
Gotcha. Thank you for that, Steve. And let me just say that when I was at the Juneteenth parade, I saw some of your folks out there in their apparatus. And so they brought it up to me as well. And I want to thank our fire marshal, Lori Christensen. And I believe that Rodney, yes, I see your handsome face on the screen. I think you participated in some meetings with the McNair Fire Department. Any quick thoughts you want to provide us?
Yes, Commissioner. We have been working with Pastor Gray and the Community Alliance to put down some courses of action to not only meet the needs of the community, but also to meet the needs of one of the last all African American fire departments in the state and potentially the nation. And so finding that balance is very critical. And I know we've been communicating with Pastor Gray and the Alliance and Gretchen Knowles to manage that, Commissioner.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that. So, Steve, we heard you, and when I got that message earlier, I think maybe a few months ago, we put that meeting together. So we're going to try and be strategic on how we can make sure to move that department forward. Okay.
Great.
We're grateful that you got neighbors that are willing to give of themselves. I've always said when I was sheriff that the reserve deputies are phenomenal people. They wear a uniform, they wear a badge, they put themselves in harm's way, but they don't pick up a paycheck. You can't respect people more than that. And that's what your firemen and EMT folks are doing out there. So we're grateful for their service. So it has value. All right, I think we are just about there. Jorge, anything else?
We have one more, Commissioner. We have
Karen.
Amber St. Julian.
Okay, real quickly, let me go to Karen, because Karen's a neighbor out in the community, and because I had the pleasure of meeting her dad, so I can go to him if she don't act right. Go ahead, Karen.
I just want to make a comment to everyone because I've seen Commissioner Garcia put plans in place, because I'm currently on one now that's helping getting pushed along. And, you know, it does work. It is a time process. But if we all work together and push for it, it gets done. And I encourage a group of different ages to participate on the community plan, because that helps see different aspects of different ideas of what is needed.
That's right.
And also our community liaison, Gretchen, she's really been, up and at it. So Gretchen, thank you, because we needed you. And I just appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been fun working with you.
Yes. So thank you both. Thank everyone.
All right. Thank you, Karen. And Karen, I think Jorge pointed out, Amber, where are you, Amber?
I'm here. The only other question.
Oh, there you are.
Is it obviously McNair in particular is somewhat landlocked, especially with that train.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there's many times where people get stuck trying to get to and from places. I mean, even when I was in elementary school, just trying to go to school in the morning, the bus would get stopped by the train. And a lot of times what happens is, it'll just sit there and you never know how long it's going to be there. So, just trying to see if there's any way we can work. I can't remember if it's Union Pacific or whoever it is, to try and get some understanding, or see if there's specific times they can maybe make some of these transfers, just so it's not putting or disrupting our routes and our habits.
Well, Amber, I'm thank you for that. And when you see the City of Houston logo, it's got a train in it, and that's because train tracks are I shouldn't say regretful, but they're a big neighbor to all of us. But I will also say this quite candidly: if there's a long-term project that anybody comes up with, it's that. Because when I was on Houston City Council, my city council district had this precise problem. You probably see some of your young neighbors crawling under those cars, crawling in between those cars to get to the other side. We have seen people get hurt by that, because you can only be patient so long. And if you're walking or biking, I've seen people put their bikes, in there, and then get on there and then try to move their bikes on there. And then when that train starts, people have fallen through and have either been killed or seriously injured. But that is a complaint that I got back in 2004. And it's a complaint that still exists today. The rail lines are horrible. I'll say the rail line companies are horrible neighbors. They are just, they're really a supreme entity because of the interstate commerce that they represent. And it is so difficult to impact them. We tried, when I was on council, to write the conductors' tickets, and that didn't last very long. So this is a major problem. The solution behind this is also a very long-term solution, and that is where, in some areas, we've been able to slowly build overpasses, and in some cases underpasses. Sometimes the geography allows for that, and then sometimes the geography does not allow for that. So it's a very complicated problem, Amber, but I share your frustration, I share your concern, and I share your wish that I can honestly tell you I can do something about that. But that one is a big, big ask. I'll have to have a big prayer from the pastor to be able to do something about that. But I will make a note about it. And I do get to meet with UP on occasion, and it'll be something that I will once again bring up with them. Okay.
I know somebody who can help, Commissioner.
Besides God, who?
Oh, that's who I'm calling.
All right. Thank you. All right, folks. Well,
can I have one more comment?
Sure. Hold on, Steve. Howard, rather. I've got a phone number here. I don't know who's behind it. It ends with 9300. Who might that be?
Her name is Thelma Johnson.
Hey, Thelma.
Born and raised. How are you?
Good.
I didn't know how to raise your hand.
It's all right. You did it. You said, hey.
Yes, I was born and raised here in 1949. My question is that currently, or my concern is currently we have one constable that comes through our area, and everyone knows his schedule and his time. He has no backups. We have a lot of drug houses. We have a lot of crack houses. We have a lot of chop shops. So how do we go about, because I've reported to the sheriff department, but nothing's going on, because when you call Chairman Egerton's office, they call you to tell you to call the sheriff department. So what direction do we go in?
You call on emergencies, you call 911, and I know that the available law enforcement that's there will jump on it. But let me just say this. I've been in meetings with Constable Eagleton, and we're trying to find ways to add resources to his department. We're also trying to add resources to the sheriff's office. And you know, the one thing I can tell you is that in the last 2.5 years, area law enforcement has gotten about $100 million in additional resources. But obviously, it's not enough because, you know, I always tell people, I know you would like, and I would like to see a patrol car in my neighborhood when I don't need them. And so we know that's an issue, but I would simply ask you, Thelma, to continue to share that intelligence about wrongdoing in your neighborhood. Please share it to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office works collaboratively with the constable. And if you want to share with the constable, that's fine. Or if you want to share with me, that's fine. I'll make sure to get it in the right hands. But share.
I would like to share with you,
okay,
Commissioner Garcia, because I've shared it with Chairman Egerton and also shared it with the sheriff department. No results.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Get it over.
Addresses. I have videos.
Oh, good. All right.
Yes, sir.
Get it over to me, and my team will connect you to me, so that way we can get it. But Ms. Fortune, representing Sheriff Gonzalez, would like to share a word. Hey, Jackie.
Hi, everyone. How are you, Commissioner? Thank you. I'm so glad to see everyone here on tonight. I am taking all of this information down, and I will reach out to our commander at the District 3 station that's on Wallaceville, and Mr. Berry is on here also. We will try to set up a meeting. I know Pastor has my phone number, but we want to try to set up a meeting to hear these concerns, and I want to make sure that you're connected to your district liaison for your community out there. So we want to hear these issues, and we want to point you guys into the right direction so we can come with a comparable solution to this problem. As Commissioner stated, yes, we all want law enforcement around all the time, But the thing is, we have to work together in order to achieve some of these goals. So I think what the community needs is, just as she stated, she has video, she has information, and I think that information and videos need to be shared so we can put the appropriate resources on task. If there are chop shops that are in your community, then our auto theft division needs to be aware of this information. So I will make sure that we reach out to you guys and set up a meeting to make sure your concerns are heard. So thank you again, Commissioner, for having this meeting. I am excited for both of these communities because they're longstanding communities with some hardworking people that live here. And so we want to make sure that they are taken care of and not forgotten. So thanks again for having me on the meeting tonight.
You're welcome, Ms. Fortune. Thank you so much. Thelma, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good deal. And so, hey, Pastor, do us a favor. I hate to put you on the clock, man, but you know, unless there's not anybody else with a urgent question, I'd just like to ask the pastor if you close us out with a prayer.
Can I got two more items.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Pastor, build that prayer up. I want you to have us standing up. But I did promise Howard a word after
two last things.
Okay.
Like, you know, we have policing in the neighborhood. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Pastor Gray. I don't know if they still have meetings for the water board at the building. If they weren't and it's not being used, look at the possibility of having a local office in the community. And secondly, and we've talked about this for years, and this is from people I know in Linus, about if something happened with the train yard and it's, you know, shelter in place, so you have to get out, there's only one way out of Linus. And so that's something we need to look at too as part of this planning strategy.
Gotcha. Good.
Okay.
Good. That's
you.
Good, Howard. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And you said you're going to be a part of the task force, right?
Right.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, Pastor. Now I think it's on you, man. You know, we need that divine power and intervention to get those trains lifted. We need a prayer that's going to lift those trains up so that we don't get stuck by them. Okay. If you can help us with that, that'd be great. But thank you so much, everybody. Everybody, please have a good night. But I'd like to ask Pastor Gray III to close us out in prayer.
God, I thank you for this meeting. I thank you for everything that you've done for us. I thank you for Commissioner Garcia and his leadership team. I ask that you continue to guide them and direct them. God, I thank you that there is so much diversity among this group that we can't help but be successful. I thank you for unity of characters. I thank you for unity of personalities. I thank you for unities of people and interest and activities. We're doing this for your glory. Yes, we're fixing the community, but we're building the kingdom. So as we do these things, God, I ask that any stumbling block that's in the way, you move it. Continue to create a spirit of unity and togetherness so that we can do just like you did on that seventh day. Look back at what we've done, pat ourselves on the back in your name and say, it's good. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. God is good. Thank you, Pastor. Really appreciate that. All right, folks. Thank you so much, Jorge and team. Thank you all. Please have a good, safe night. Don't forget to wear your mask, wash your hands. And if you don't have your vaccine just yet, please consider getting it. God bless everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Good night.